We're here with Richard from Vinomarket, and he is bringing 3 interesting wines for us to taste. And Richard, how did you start in the wine trade?
I started wine, not in the trade, when I was 19. Well, my father had the opinion that I was putting on too much weight drinking beer while playing rugby and other sports. So he took me to his cellar and introduced me to a Pinot Noir Burgundy with some cheese. And I fell in love with wine. Trade came in because I decided that when I hit 50, I wanted to do something that I wanted to do. And my 2 loves are wine and golf. I can't make any money out of golf, so I chose wine. Asked me to bring 3 favorites.
Yes.
That is an exceedingly difficult thing to do for me. But I rose to the challenge. What's coming in very strong in the last few years are the rosés, particularly the blush, claretes in Spanish, and the best in the business for blushes out from the south of France. And so what I've done is I've brought you 2 rosés. And I brought you a white, but it's a sparkling white. And it's again a very, very popular, there's been a big boom in Prosecco. Let's start with the Prosecco, because the Prosecco can be drunk as an aperitif. It can be drunk with curry. It can be drunk with, as I've said, shellfish. This comes in a beautiful presentation, and it's from a very modern but very large company called Italia. I buy this direct, as is my policy with all my wines, and it's Volga.
Good.
Going on.
Let's taste these wines.
Yeah, we'll let this fly. You ready? Right, off we go. Bang, come on, come on, come on.
Yes.
This is very, very popular because of the cost price, the quality, the presentation is usually very exciting, as is this bottle.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And this quality, a DOC quality Prosecco, the bubbles, the fizz will last a lot longer than the frizzantes and the spumantes that you espumosos you get. Boy, this is going to be fun.
Cheers.
There you go.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
What you'll find is you get a very crunchy, soft bubble experience in the palate, and then you'll get a lot of light fruits. And this makes it extremely versatile.
Bottle, what would it retail for?
This would normally retail for around 10 euros, but I'm not a retailer, I am a wholesaler.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've decided to reduce the range of lines, products, labels that I would normally have, or a retailer would normally have. It could be 2,000, 2,500 different lines.
Wow.
So I did a Steve Jobs. I've reduced it to about 500 products and only about 150 wines actually. So this one I retail at 850. Sorry, wholesale at 850, and it retails around 10.
During COVID, you've been doing a lot of marketing, and you really have been trying to push the wines direct at wholesale prices.
Yeah, my business was built up, not very old, I opened officially last October, but very much built on trade business, on trade, so restaurant, bars, chiringuitos, hotels, that sort of thing. But because of COVID, it meant that the emphasis had to go back to the private client. But that was always the intention, it was just not in that order.
I think if you can pass on wholesale prices to customers, then
Well, we
it's
are.
a win-win. I mean, during COVID, we kind of drank more than we should have. So we could have been considered as wholesalers.
Indeed, it's a good point, yes. Having said that, if you do come and buy 1 bottle or order 1 bottle, it'll be the wholesale price. There really are some superb Spanish wines. I mean, Spain must be second, maybe third to France with Italy in the world in terms of quality of wine. And the Spaniards have been incredibly clever because they've put the emphasis on the barreling and maturing the red before release, rather than the French, for example, which is all to do with the terroir, which is the land and the soil and the orientation and all that.
Okay.
So the good thing about that is it's enabled the Spaniards to produce consistently high quality harvest upon harvest upon harvest.
Let's try the second wine.
Right, what I've chosen, again, it's 2 rosés. On a scale of 1 to 5, all rosés being dry, 1 being the driest and 5 being the fruitiest. It can be made less fruity and more fruity.
Okay.
I brought you a fruity one.
Okay.
This is from the best area perhaps in the world for producing light coloured, pale salmon, apricot, light pink blushes, they become known as.
Blushes.
In Spain they're known as claretes or rosados, but rosado tends to be darker. And this one comes from the area of Languedoc, south of Provence. It comes from Domaine Tropez, near the town Tropez.
Tropez.
And this is known as Crazy Tropez. And this is very much aimed at the chiringuitos, parties. It comes with a twist top. It's easy to open. It's funky. And it has, on a scale of 1 to 5, probably a 3.5, 4 in terms of fruitiness.
How do you choose your wines when you go out buying?
That is a really good question, because I do have a process. So I have developed over the years a system. I have a group of clients who become friends, and we meet as and when to try new wines. I have a filter of, obviously, presentation is consideration. Where does it fit into the marketplace, and also on my shelves? Is it going to be one of 10 I've already got, or one that I haven't got? Price point as well is very important, and also quality, of course. I mean, when I get to that point of quality, then I don't rely on myself, because the world of wine is very, very subjective. What I like doesn't make it good or bad. I then get 6 people in or more, and we all taste, and we all write down our notes, and then we make a decision.
Let's taste.
Enchanté.
Cheers.
Cheers. Now you'll notice the colour in the glass is predominantly lighter. It has a beautiful, beautiful, consistent colour. This one is very much a party, as I said before. Excellent on the beach, in a cool box with ice. Wow, it's just brilliant. And this is very popular. You'll notice in the mouth it has wonderful fruits, but it ends with a sweetness, and that is the extra fruitiness in the making of this. This is actually Grenache, Garnacha. Essentially, it has been bled with the skin of the red grape to be able to produce, and that creates a bit of the fruitiness.
Okay.
But it's a very good wine in terms of, again, as an aperitif before you sit down, or even when you're eating salads. Salmon, of course, is a classic.
Just
so
nice.
that is one of our most popular.
And so retail price on this bottle?
Well, the retail
Wholesale?
would normally be €8.
Okay.
We sell this in the wholesale at $6.50.
So it's very reasonable.
Very well in the States, and it's called Notorious Pink. Now, on the scale of 1 to 5, this is probably a 2, so it's much drier.
Okay.
So the fruits are far more subtle and more inclined not to dominate food as the Crazy can, because of the sweetness, or not the sweetness, but the fruitiness.
Sure.
Whereas this one is more subtle, a bit more complex. It has a range of fruits that come out, depending on what you eat with it, or on its own.
What would you pair it with? What food?
Well, the same type of thing, seafood or fish, and salads, warm salads, and rice. This is very good with risottos.
And do you smell the wine before you?
Yes, I mean, the idea when you're doing a formal tasting are the 3 senses. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What are the aromas in the nose? And then obviously the palate. So you can actually get a good idea of any wine by doing this with the colour.
That's a good idea.
The serviette or whatever. But it is our bestseller in rosés.
And it's called Notorious?
Notorious Pink.
Notorious
And it's
Pink.
100% Grenache.
What's the alcohol content?
11.5, if I remember right. Yep.
And this, if we were to go down to the shop and...
Retail is around €13.
Okay.
Wholesale is €10.
Perfect. People find this on your new app.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth.
Minimum order, if we were to order on the app?
No, anything. I've got an A zone and a B zone in Spain.
Okay.
The A zone is from La Línea, hinterland, up to Marbella, Old Town, which is free of charge, whether you order 1 bottle, a cork, or whatever. Free delivery. If you're in the B zone, which is the rest of Spain, if you spend €150 in the order, it's free of charge. If you don't, it's only €10.
Okay, perfect.
I'm very proud of my app.
Yep, no, during COVID, you saved us on numerous occasions.
We're doing events on a regular basis, but we don't call them events. We call them Vinomarket get-togethers.
Ah,
I like it.
I like it.
So the next one we have, which is in Polo Valley, which is one of the most incredible hideaway secrets in Soto Grande. And if you want to do a wine tasting at home
Yes.
with some friends, up to say 8 or 10 couples, then I do some great fun wine tasting.
Oh, you know, I have a large family,
I know you do.
so it could be an interesting thing to get the whole family together and have a wine tasting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why is wine matured in wood? Because it gets tannins. and the tannins act as an embalming. It mummifies the wine with tannins. But if you have too much tannin in a wine, you get that dryness, that astringency. You know when you eat a banana, you get that furriness, and well, that is tannin, and that is not good in a wine. It's too strong, it's too aggressive, because people won't drink it. So you need to combine that by preserving the wine, and that's where the quality of the grape comes in. Because if it's a really good harvest, great quality, the wine has more potential to survive longer, and then you get different. You can have the same vintage of a quality wine drunk after 5 years, after 6 years, after different bottles, and you'll find that they're all very different. And even in the glass, you can have one glass you tend to drink quite quickly, the second glass a bit slower, and then you sort of get to the middle of the meal and think, oh, I better have some more wine, and everybody else is going to drink it, I better have some. And then you find that it's actually different, and it's the characteristics that change in the glass. And that is a sign of the complexity, el complejo del vino. That is what's so special about red. You don't necessarily get so much. These are everyday, good quality, fun wines. We live in a very fun area.
We do
a
indeed.
Leisure area. So we need to promote wines that will blend with that culture. I said that what separates wine generally, particularly red wine, from any other alcoholic drink is that it's very cultural.
Yes.
You go to the opera, if you have good food, you've got good company, art, fashion, brilliant music, wine blends and accompanies that. It adds to the passion.
It's the atmosphere.
Whereas if you get a bottle of vodka and it doesn't quite have the same effect. I think that in that respect, that's what attracts me so much to wine. It's very cultural. And so we have wines that blend into the sort of lifestyle that we have here.
And seasons.
Which is why I chose some of these.
Yeah.
What about organic wines?
Well, look, organic wines, with the way the world is going, with all the green issues, so we call them, are gaining in popularity. However, in order to have an ecological organic wine, which is pretty much the same thing, there is a difference between the land part being organic and the making of the wine being ecological. But if you marry the two together, it becomes generically known as organic or ecological. It does involve more expense. It does increase the cost per, 20% on your unit price, and it does. The other thing that's much more popular and has gone beyond the organic issue, the vegan is what people want in wine. They don't. The good news is that a lot of bodegas don't know, but they're discovering that they are vegan friendly, because the only thing that a bodega is likely to use that would give them a problem is the egg, the white of the egg, and they sometimes use that to soften the tannins in red wine.
Really? When you open a red and it's off, can you have the same thing happen with a rosé and with a white?
Yes, absolutely. More so with red, actually, because the whites and the roses are not given enough time to go off, because we drink them and we order the next vintage. A red wine that goes off, okay, there are two things that happen. A red wine can only go off once. A lot of people say this wine is corked, and it's not corked. If a red wine is off, trust me, you will know. Wines that are still corked with natural cork, the grain of the cork has to be of a certain fineness. Otherwise, oxygen can get in, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes the cork itself is defect. It's a natural thing that happens. And that makes what we call in the trade, the red wine goes green. It doesn't go green in color, it smells of the cork. And so people say it's corked, and technically, or the terminology that it's corked is probably more accurate than how we use it when a wine goes off, because it is the cork that creates that taste in the wine.
Okay.
Because the cork, it has a smell, a taste.
Yep.
And it shouldn't have, it should be neutral.
Okay.
And that defect of the manufacturing of the cork sometimes creeps into the bottling of the red wine. And that's when you get what we call, as I said in the trade, a red wine going green on you.
So, Richard, with that, I would like to say thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
And cheers to all of you out there.